thunderstorm going on right now. I woke up to a tornado watch. That was fun. Really close to our area. Reported sighting, but I haven't heard of any kind of major damage or anything, although I had some friends that had some trees down. Anyway, it was not so bad right by my house. Just a lot of rain and wind and a bit of flash flooding. But anyway, it's supposed to clear up pretty soon. The warning's gone, otherwise I wouldn't be on the road here. Out for a haircut. Looks like another storm though is rolling through. A lot of lightning. Anyway, perfect for a seafaring book. I'm continuing to read the Bounty Trilogy. I don't have the cover on it just because it's rather fragile and keeps wanting to kind of fall off the book. But the Bounty Trilogy has the Mutiny on the Bounty, Men Against the Sea, and then Pitcairn's Island. I've already finished the first two books. Mutiny on the Bounty, most people know the story. It's based on an actual mutiny of the ship the Bounty, which was captained by Captain Bligh. Fletcher Christian was one of the instigators of the mutiny, taking over the ship and then setting Bligh and I think it was 18 other men adrift in the launch. Not expecting that they would actually survive, but giving them an opportunity anyway, so maybe they'd find an island or something like that. Really intriguing. Very descriptive. You feel like you're, on the water. You can see what a cruel Captain Bligh was, and kind of what he pretty much brought about the mutiny due to his severe punishments of the men, even berating some of the officers, including Fletcher Christian under his command. He was thinking of just taking over the ship and locking up Bligh and bringing him back for trial, but instead the people were talking mutiny, and in order to sort of protect him or save him, decides to lead the mutiny. But really adventurous tales, the weather that they face, all the challenges that they faced. And then when you get to Men Against the Sea, this is the tale of Bligh and these other 18 sailors on this small little launch trying to find some safe haven. All the islands around them seem to be inhabited by savages or cannibals, and they get attacked more than once. Even one of the members dying by an attack, and yet he somehow manages to make the most amazing journey with these men. I think it's some 3,600 miles over the course of some 40 days or so, and it's just goes down in the annals of history of just the most amazing journey ever. Although most people don't like Bligh, even the ones that end up on this launch with him, they don't want any part of the mutiny, but yet they think that they never would have survived without him in charge. So really, really fascinating, kind of gripping story. And now I'm on Pitcairn's Island, where this is sort of a little bit more unknown, where we follow Christian and the mutineers and their journey, where they end up. And there's always no one's ever found where specifically Fletcher Christian ends up, but apparently through various voyages and things, they end up, the English end up finding what they believe to be descendants of one of the mutineers on Pitcairn's Island, so that's how they believe that the ship ended up. Anyway, kind of just not too far into that aspect of the story, but it's interesting how the perspectives that you get and who's telling the story in each one of the books. In the first one, it was a young man hired by Bligh to the storm's getting a little bit more intense here, to create a Tahitian dictionary so other sailors to the islands could understand the natives more. And apparently this young man has an affinity for languages, and so he's brought on board, and it's kind of told from his perspective. According to the author's notes, though, he wasn't an actual person in the historical record. They kind of created him based on another person who was on the ship. So gave him a little bit more license to kind of play with the text and things like that. But most of it is some kind of motorcycle in a lightning storm. The guy's insane. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, so that was told from that person's perspective, and then Men Against the Sea is told from the perspective of one of the surgeons or the medical personnel that ends up on his ship. And a lot of the information they have to form that story is also based on Captain Bligh's notes that he took and journals and things like that. And really, really enjoying this so far. So I'm going to continue reading this one. I'm about to get my hair cut. I'm just way early, so just kind of enjoying the nothing like a little thunderstorm when you're in, you know, a nice dry spot and reading. It's kind of slightly relaxing, except for those bright flashes of light. Anyway, I'll report back on my other things I'm reading when I get a chance. So another book I finished reading was The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abidari. This is her debut novel. It came out, I think it was 2018. It's about a 14-year-old Nigerian girl named Aduni. It's told in her voice, in a vernacular of like pidgin English, because she's had very little education. And all she's ever dreamed of is becoming a teacher. Something her mom told her, that education will give you a voice, but she wanted more than that. She wanted what she called a louding voice, or a loud voice, to be able to teach others, to uplift others. And she comes from a very poor, it's a rural village, and when her mother passes away, her chances of an education kind of disappear. Her father sells her off for the bride price to help pay for the rent and food on the table for her brothers and himself, and she's sent off to be married at 14 years old. I won't go into the details of what happens with that marriage, but somewhere down the road of the story, she ends up working as a domestic servant, and throughout the whole thing, she just has constant hope of improving her lot in life. She's always trying to improve her education. She comes across books that like the Oxford Dictionary and some other thing about facts of Nigeria, and she's always trying to absorb as much information as she can. And you kind of see the growth of the character through the course of the story, and the vernacular kind of improves, the grammar improves, but as she comes to learn, like speaking well doesn't necessarily mean you're an educated person. But I love the growth of the character and her constant hope. It is at times heartbreaking, but just seeing this courage of this character, it was just wonderful. The audiobook I highly recommend. I don't unfortunately have the name of the narrator, but she just did a phenomenal job of the book, and I absolutely loved it. It's a book that'll stay with you for a while. So again, that was The Girl with the Louding Voice. Absolutely loved it. I just recently came across some information on Amazon Prime that I'd been waiting for and I kind of lost track of, but it's with regards to the graphic novel Paper Girls. This is a graphic novel that they're turning into a kind of mini-series, and they filmed it on one of the parts of the films. They filmed on the street I live on and right around the corner, and I was there for like the 3 days that they were filming in my neighborhood. It was absolutely fantastic to watch and see the whole production and everything. I don't believe my house is going to appear in the scenes at all because it wasn't decorated for it. It was more wired for all the stuff going around that they needed for lighting and all that stuff, and the sound equipment and everything. But it was so fascinating to watch the filming. And it's about 4 paper girls. It's set like in the 80s, right after Halloween, Hell Night they call it. And they encounter some strange creatures that they chase after because they kind of did something to them, and they end up coming across this time machine, and it transports them through time. And super cool. I can't wait to see it. It starts on the 29th. I'm not being sponsored by Amazon or anything like that, but I am super psyched. I saw the previews of it, and if you watch the previews and you see a fence with a bunch of paper cups stuck in it, that was filmed at the park down the street from me, so it's really cool to see that. I like what I see from the preview, and I'm really excited to watch it. Other than that, I'm currently listening to a new audiobook, The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi. I absolutely love Scalzi's books. I think they're super funny, super interesting, really quirky. This is read by Will Wheaton again. They team up quite a bit, and he just does a great job of just bringing the snarky kind of humor that Scalzi writes, and I love it. The this particular book is about a character named Jamie Gray. I think it's Jamie. Now I'm just confusing my names, but anyway, name is Jamie Gray. He works for a food delivery company right around 2020. You know, when COVID-19 has struck, and so it's kind of pertinent to like the time that we were kind of still in anyway. But he's trying to figure out ways like marketing. He's actually been there for like 6 months, and he's in marketing stuff. He's trying to figure out ways to like how to get around this whole system and improve the company, go up against Uber Eats and all the other, DoorDash and all that stuff. And he comes up with some great ideas for his performance review after 6 months. Instead, the guy steals his ideas, demotes him to a driver. But what can he do? He needs the work. So he's working now as a food delivery person, and he ends up encountering a former schoolmate named Tom. And after several deliveries and stuff, Tom says, "Yeah, he's going to be maybe the last time you'll be delivering to me because I've got to go off on my work." He works for some kind of animal rights organization, like a animal preservation kind of thing. And Jamie says, "Yeah, this is probably the last time I want to deliver anyway. I'm kind of fed up with this job." And he's like, "Hey, we need like a grunt, someone to lift things." And he's like, "If you're interested, it's got some pretty good perks." And he ends up taking the job, and he doesn't really know a whole lot about this preservation place. So, yeah, he's just told it's KPS is the name of the organization. Well, KPS stands for Kaiju Preservation Society. Kaiju as in, yes, Godzilla. They deal with these kind of weird creatures on a alternate dimensional Earth that's sort of attached to our Earth, and it gets really, really weird. He's kind of like, say what? I'm doing what? So it's I love the snarky humor in it, so I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, highly recommend it. I'm just kind of weird because I'm stuck in a light with cars all around me, and I'm talking. I don't know what this person thinks of me here. Anyway, yeah, I'm on my way to work now, so that's about all I have to say right now. Like I said, I've just started that. I'm only like about 25% into the audiobook, but I'm absolutely loving it. His constant references to, I don't know any of this stuff, I just lift things, that's my job. But he's thrown in some really crazy situations, and I love the kind of references, sly references to the administration in the U.S. at that time during COVID, the outbreak of COVID. But yeah, you got to listen to it. If you want to try a Scalzi book, I definitely recommend either that or Head On. Head On was a really good one. Also, I think Will Beaton narrated that one too. But absolutely loving it so far. So I'm gonna start concentrating on driving now. Bye.
One of them had begun walking at a very casual and measured pace toward him. "This is just between us," he said. Despite myself, I had to admire his need to try to bargain while he was, or so he thought, on the verge of being eaten.